Yeah, another mission. Code name Glasshouse.
Eyes on the target, I'm deep in the building. They don't see the ghost, just a friend they confide in. Collecting the data, I'm taking the pictures, but every new face is a crack in the fixtures. Got that glasshouse vision, seeing through all the lies. Paid the price when my soul's a stranger in my eyes. It's the undercover fall, the trusts are all gone. Just a phantom in the mirror waiting for the dawn. Glasshouse vision, yeah, the truth is exposed. Glasshouse vision, yeah, the truth is exposed.
Today we're diving into a really fascinating and frankly pretty alarming strategic plan. It's called Project Glasshouse, and it's all built around this one unsettling idea. What if our government itself has been systematically captured from the inside out? The entire investigation really hinges on this one powerful question. It forces you to move past the idea of just a few bad apples, a corrupt official here, a bribe there, and start thinking about a much scarier possibility. What if the whole system, the very machinery of government, has been deliberately rewired to protect and serve criminal interests? Okay, so before we get into what's supposedly gone wrong, we gotta remember the original blueprint. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights. I mean, these aren't just old pieces of paper. They're meant to be a shield, right? A shield that protects every single one of us from government overreach. That's the core promise of the entire American system. And this is where it gets really visual. On the left, you've got the theory. One nation, totally under federal law, clean and simple. But then you look at the map on the right. This is what the source material calls the operational reality. Now, those dark spots aren't just areas with more crime. The argument here is that these are sovereign fiefdoms, basically territories inside the U.S. that have been effectively taken over by criminal networks. The analysis really zooms in on the U.S.-Mexico border, places like El Paso, and it sees them as a critical stress test for that constitutional shield we were talking about. And it's right here that a legal loophole called the border exception starts to basically rewrite the rulebook. And listen, this isn't just some abstract legal theory. Get this number. By 2024, border agents were doing over 46,000 warrantless searches of people's phones and laptops every single year. This just shows you how that little border exception has ballooned into this massive dragnet, pulling in tens of thousands of ordinary people. And that brings us to the big idea at the heart of this whole report: systemic capture. We're not just talking about a few bad actors taking bribes anymore. This is the idea that our core institutions, we're talking police, courts, even prisons, are being fundamentally re-engineered, redesigned from the inside to benefit a criminal enterprise. So, you're probably asking, how could this actually work? Well, the document lays out this, honestly, it's a chillingly corporate model. They call it the architecture of the franchise. The idea is that criminal networks don't need an army to take over a city. Instead, they franchise it, kind of like a fast food chain, just by taking control of a few key local authorities. So, Layer 1 is all about what they call operational facilitation on the ground. Think about this for a second. Corrupt police allegedly create ghost corridors. They do it by deliberately not patrolling certain streets at certain times. This carves out a safe passage for illicit shipments to get through. The most powerful move isn't what they do, it's what they choose not to do. Okay, so once the goods are through the corridor, we hit Layer 2, the judicial unlock. And the statistics here are just staggering. If you're plugged into this franchise, there's a 90% chance your case just gets dismissed. But if you're a rival, a 90% chance you get the maximum possible detention. This isn't just a broken justice system. The claim is that it's a weaponized one. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most disturbing layer of the whole model: the prison as an economic engine. In this system, prison isn't about punishment. It's a business. Wealth gets squeezed from inmates' families through all kinds of fees. The prisoners themselves become a recruitment pool, and the whole thing becomes this ugly, self-perpetuating money-making machine. I mean, when you see a model this complete, this interlocking, you have to wonder, how does something like this even happen? Is this just our own institutions slowly decaying and falling apart on their own? Or, as the report argues, is there something else, some external force actively pulling the strings? Well, the report points to this really controversial strategic doctrine called unrestricted warfare. The whole idea here is that modern war isn't fought with tanks and planes anymore. Nope. It's fought in our financial markets, on social media, and, crucially, within our own legal systems. Every single part of society becomes a potential battlefield. So forget about military conquest. The strategic goals here are to paralyze a country's government by capturing its elites, to tear society apart using media, and to create economic dependencies that give an outside power total leverage over policy. It's all about winning without ever firing a single shot. But, and this is a really important but, we have to pause here and consider a critical counterargument that's raised in the report itself. Are we really looking at a coordinated master plan conspiracy here? Or is this just massive systemic dysfunction, a broken system that wasn't designed by any one person, but that a whole lot of different people are benefiting from? The report warns us against this classic logic trap. It's called the cui bono fallacy, which is just Latin for asking who benefits. Just because someone is getting rich from a broken system doesn't mean they're the one who broke it. And while the money trail might be obvious, the report admits that finding actual proof of a coordinated plot is way, way harder. So look, whether it's an intentional plot or just widespread decay, the problem is still the same. You have a system that is designed to hide its own inner workings. And so, the proposed solution is just as simple and direct. Drag every last bit of it into the sunlight with radical transparency. So how on earth do you achieve that kind of transparency at a massive scale? Well, the proposal is to fight a complex system with a smarter one, a so-called truth AI. The idea is to just unleash these incredibly advanced analytics to spot the hidden patterns of corruption that are simply too big and too complicated for any team of humans to ever see. And this AI would basically have a three-pronged attack. First, it hunts for those ghost corridors by analyzing patrol logs for suspicious gaps. Second, it puts the entire justice system under a microscope, auditing for any statistical bias. And third, it follows the money, relentlessly connecting public contracts back to anonymous shell companies. Now, you can't just let an AI like this run wild, right? So the plan is to create a brand new federal body to wield it, an institutional integrity agency. And its mission would be fundamentally different from what we have now. It would stop chasing individual bad apples and start mapping and dismantling the entire architecture of this sovereign capture. But here's the thing. A watchdog is only as strong as its bite. And this is the bite. The report calls for a financial kill switch. This new agency would get the power, backed by the U.S. Treasury, to audit any local or state body that takes federal money. And the leverage is simple. If you fail the integrity audit, the funding gets shut off, period. In practice, this means the agency gets to audit the books, make all those federal grants dependent on proven integrity, and trace every single dollar from things like asset forfeiture. It all comes down to this one simple, powerful principle they quote in the report. He who provides the gold makes the rules. And this all builds to a final provocative question that's really meant to be the ultimate test. The argument is pretty simple. Any honest department, any official who's truly doing the right thing, should welcome this kind of scrutiny. So if they push back against it, what does that tell you? It really leaves you wondering. In the fight for a government we can actually trust, what's the real argument against transparency?